Hello viewers, I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. Vietnam's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh arrived in India on July 30th for a significant three-day state visit marked by warm receptions and important discussions on strengthening bilateral relations. Chinh congratulated PM Modi on his historic third term and highlighted the need for enhanced bilateral trade and cooperation in strategic sectors. India and Vietnam, with a long history of ties, continue to strengthen their economic and cultural relations. Let's delve into the details of this high-profile visit.
On July 30th, Vietnam's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh arrived in India for a three-day state visit with a senior delegation and was honoured with a ceremonial reception at Rashtrapati Bhavan, the official residence of President of India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed his Vietnamese counterpart at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the two leaders embraced warmly. Following this, he reviewed a guard of honour presented by the Combined Defence Services. Subsequently, Chinh visited Rajghat to honour Mahatma Gandhi and then engaged in bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also met with Vietnamese Prime Minister and expressed his appreciation for the Prime Minister's guidance on strengthening India-Vietnam relations. During the meeting, the Vietnam Prime Minister expressed gratitude and thanked India for the warm reception.
Thứ hai là cũng rất là cảm ơn ngài đã góp phần thu xếp cái chuyến thăm của chúng tôi trong một cái thời gian rất ngắn. Chương trình thì rất dài, nội dung thì nhiều, chất lượng thì đòi hỏi cao. Và cũng cảm ơn hai bộ ngoại giao đã phối hợp để chuẩn bị cái nội dung rồi các cái công việc lễ tân rất là chu đáo cho đến giờ này. Ngày mai thì chương trình cũng rất là nặng.
Chinh also congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his win in the third consecutive term and termed this a historic victory.
Đúng theo yêu cầu của chúng tôi, và cũng cảm ơn phía Ấn Độ đã đón tiếp chúng tôi với cái chuyến thăm cấp nhà nước. Đây cũng là thể hiện cái sự coi trọng của Ấn Độ đối với chúng tôi. Và chúc mừng đảng của ngài Modi đã thắng cử liên tiếp 3 khóa liền. Đây cũng là một cái dấu mốc lịch sử. Cũng cảm ơn Tổng thống và cảm ơn Thủ tướng đã gửi thư chia buồn khi đồng chí Tổng Bí thư Nguyễn Phú Trọng của chúng tôi qua đời. Xin lắng nghe ý kiến của ngài.
The Vietnamese Prime Minister encouraged businesses from both India and Vietnam to work together and create innovative solutions to increase bilateral trade to $20 billion and beyond. He also highlighted the need to enhance collaboration in key areas like transportation, infrastructure, energy, digital infrastructure, and climate resilience in order to further strengthen the partnership between the two countries. S. Jaishankar also emphasized the significance of the Chin's visit in facilitating a comprehensive review of the bilateral relationship between India and Vietnam.
Your visit gives us an opportunity to review our bilateral relations, but also to assess the strategic trends in our region. I know tomorrow the Prime Minister looks forward very much to his discussions in regard to both subjects with you. And I would today, of course, during the call, seek Your Excellency's thoughts on many of the contemporary issues, understand your priorities for this visit. And again, I assure you that we have prepared very, very well for this visit. There will be, I think, 10 agreements, 3 announcements, and we will be taking steps which will certainly set the course for the further development of our relations. Once again, thank you very much for receiving me.
India and Vietnam have a long history of interactions that span centuries, marked by both cultural and political exchange. India and Vietnam established former diplomatic relations in 1972, soon after the reunification of Vietnam. India supported Vietnam's post-war reconstruction and development efforts. Both countries have enjoyed friendly relations and have cooperated in various fields including trade, defense, and education. The economic relationship between the two countries has grown with increasing trade and investment. Cultural exchanges have also flourished, with Indian films, literature, and educational programs being well received in Vietnam.
Moving on. Border trade between Pakistan and China remains at a standstill as traders in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan intensify their sit-in protest. The demonstration taking place in Sost village in the Upper Hunza region is driven by a recent ruling from the POGB Chief Court that found various taxes imposed on local residents to be unlawful. The traders, who have set up their sit-in at the NLC dry port in Sost, are calling for the implementation of this court order which mandates tax exemptions for cross-border trade in the region. Our report.
Border trade between Pakistan and China remains halted as traders in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan have extended their sit-in protest. Protesters in the Sost village of the Upper Hunza region of Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are advocating for an end to tax collection in line with a recent ruling by the POGB Chief Court that deemed various taxes imposed on residents unlawful. Traders from POGB initiated a sit-in at the NLC dry port in Sost to demand the implementation of a court order regarding tax exemptions for cross-border trade with China through the Khunjarab Pass. This protest has halted trade activities and traders have threatened further action, including blocking the Karakoram highway if their demands are not met. They argue that the authorities' actions are unfairly hindering their trade and employment opportunities.
गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में सेल टैक्स और इनकम टैक्स यहाँ लागू ही नहीं है। सिर्फ और सिर्फ कस्टम ड्यूटी देने के हम बॉन्ड हैं और वो हम देने के लिए तैयार हैं। इस पर आज अगर हमारी बात मानी जाती है तो हम आज अपना धरना को बैक करेंगे, कल मानी जाती है तो कल बैक करेंगे। अगर नहीं माना जाए, अगर 2 महीने भी बैठना पड़ा है तो हम इधर हैं और हम अगला लाएमल तय कर रहे हैं कि शायद हमें सीपेक रूट को भी रोकना पड़े।
According to local media reports, the protest came in response to a writ petition filed by the POGB Importer and Exporter Association. The court had issued a stay order restraining the customs authorities from collecting sales tax, income tax and additional sales tax from local importers and exporters at the Sost border station until the final decision of the case. However, the traders allege that the customs officers and the Federal Bureau of Revenue are employing tactics to delay the implementation of the court order. As a result of the protest, several foreigners are stuck in Sost due to disruptions in immigration services to China.
We are Chinese. We want to go China, but this border is closed. So we don't know tomorrow is which time, which day is will be open, and we just all day we wait here for open.
The taxation issues in regions like Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are complex and multi-layered. Traders frequently deal with inconsistent enforcement of tax laws as different areas may interpret and apply tax regulations differently, leading to confusion and conflicts. Frequent changes in tax policies and regulations add to the uncertainty, making it difficult and expensive for traders to adjust to new rules and compliance requirements.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
India opened the doors to the first ever Olympic India House at the Paris Olympics with an eye on hosting its own games in the near future. India House was inaugurated on July 27 in a colorful event filled with music, dance, food and art from the South Asian country. Neeta Ambani, chairperson and founder of the Reliance Foundation, which worked with the Indian Olympic Association to make India House a reality, made no secret that she hopes the Olympics will one day be hosted in an Indian city.
It's good to see the India House, a dream turning into reality.
It's beautiful, it's colorful, it's smiles, it's joy, it's happiness. It's India, it's what we all love, the entire world. The world is here today and India House unites the world. Fantastic.
India has officially bid to host the 2036 Games, with Ahmedabad the likely proposition to be host city. Other bids include Istanbul, Turkey, Santiago, Nusantara, Indonesia, with additional bids possibly coming from Qatar, Saudi Arabia and South Korea among others. Hundreds of people gathered in Karachi to offer funeral prayers in absentia for Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Iran earlier in the day. Prayer congregations were also scheduled to be held later in other Pakistani cities like Rawalpindi and Peshawar.
हम इसकी मजम्मत करते हैं, साथ ही साथ हम मुस्लिम दुनिया के हुक्मरानों से इस बात की अपील करते हैं कि खुदारा जाग जाइए, खुदारा इसराइल की दहशतगर्दी के खिलाफ आवाज़ बुलंद कीजिए। वो 40 ममालिक की फ़ौजें जो दरअसल मुसलमानों के लिए बनाई गई थी कि मुसलमानों को उससे रिलीफ मिलेगा, आज पूरी उम्मत ये सवाल कर रही है कि वो 40 ममालिक की फ़ौजें कहाँ हैं।
Haniyeh was assassinated in Iran, drawing threats of revenge in a region already shaken by the war in Gaza and amidst deepening conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said Israel had provided the grounds for harsh punishment for itself and that it was Tehran's duty to avenge the Hamas leader's death as it had occurred in the Iranian capital. Sri Lanka will hold presidential elections on September 21, a government notice said on July 26, setting the date for a crucial vote expected to determine the future of reforms in the South Asian nation, weathering its worst financial crisis in decades. Nominations for the election have to be submitted on August 15, with incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe becoming the first candidate to do so by paying a non-refundable deposit to the Election Commission, his office said. 75-year-old Wickremesinghe took office in July 2022 after widespread protests caused by the debilitating financial crisis forced his predecessor Gotabaya Rajapaksa to flee the country and later resign.
2024 ජනාධිපතිවරණය සඳහා වූ අතිවිශේෂ ගැසට් නිවේදනය අද දිනේ යුක්තව නිකුත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව නාම යෝජනා බාර ගැනීම අගෝස්තු මාසයේ 15 වෙනිදාත් ඡන්ද විමසීම සැප්තැම්බර් මාසයේ 21 වෙනිදාටත් නියම වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Almost 17 million of Sri Lanka's 22 million population are eligible to vote in the poll.
Let's now move to Bangladesh, where hundreds of students took to the streets on a powerful March for Justice, protesting recent deaths, arrest and intimidation. The demonstration, particularly intense in Dhaka, saw police detain several students near the High Court, igniting further outrage. Bangladesh has experienced significant turmoil in recent weeks as a movement advocating for government job quota reforms become deadly, resulting in over 150 deaths. In response, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government has enforced a week-long curfew and deployed military forces to manage the crisis. A report.
Across Bangladesh, hundreds of students participated in the March for Justice, protesting recent incidents of deaths, arrests and intimidation. Reports indicate that in Dhaka, police detained at least 8 students near the High Court, where lawyers and university faculty also joined the protest. The March for Justice, organized by the Students Against Discrimination movement, was aimed at condemning mass killings, arrests, assaults, and the disappearances of the students and citizens.
আমি জিজ্ঞেস করলাম যে তোমরা কি এখানে এমনি আসছো নাকি স্টুডেন্টস? বললো ম্যাডাম আমরা বোরহানুদ্দিন কলেজে। বলছে আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, কেন এসেছো? মার্চ ফর জাস্টিসের জন্য। আমি বলছি আচ্ছা আমরা ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটির টিচার, আমরা এখানে দাঁড়িয়েছি, যদি মার্চ করে একসাথে করি। হ্যাঁ জি ম্যাডাম। এর মধ্যে আমি আর ম্যাডাম কথা বলছিলাম, ছেলেটাকে দেখলাম পুলিশ উইদাউট রিজন টেনে নিয়ে গেল। আমি বললাম আপনি ওকে ছাড়েন, আপনি চেক করেন, ও আমার সাথে স্টুডেন্ট, চেক করবে না, ছাড়বে না। পুরোটা পথ আমি বললাম যে যদি চেকই করতে হয় সামনে করেন। ম্যাডাম বললো যে আমার ব্যাগ করেন। আমি বললাম আমার ব্যাগ করেন, আমার মোবাইল করেন, চেক করবেন, ওকে নিবেই নিবে এবং ওকে ছাড়বেও না। অ্যান্ড লাস্ট পর্যন্ত আমি পারি না, অনেকক্ষণ চেষ্টা করেছি।
Videos from Bangladesh reveal police in full riot gear, equipped with batons, as they set up barricades against demonstrators and arrest protesters, including a significant number of women. The footage depicted a tense and aggressive response from the law enforcement as they managed the increasingly volatile situation, highlighting the severity of the crackdown on the ongoing protests.
আমরা এই দেশের জনগণকে জানাচ্ছি আপনারা অতি শীঘ্রই নেমে আসুন, আপনাদের সন্তানদেরকে বাঁচান। আপনাদের আমাদের রাষ্ট্রপতি বলেছে, কি বলেছে?
In recent week, Bangladesh has faced severe turmoil as a movement advocating for government job quota reforms turned deadly, resulting in over 150 fatalities. In response, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's administration has imposed a week-long curfew and deployed military forces to manage the situation. Experts attribute the unrest to stagnant growth in the private sector and high youth unemployment, which have increased the appeal of government jobs amid approximately 10% inflation. Political instability in Bangladesh has frequently surfaced, marked by cycles of protests and unrest. The nation's history is marked by episodes of political upheaval and demonstrations, generally fueled by dissatisfaction with governance, electoral processes, socio-economic inequalities, and constitutional matters. Protests in Bangladesh have typically arisen from accusations of corruption, electoral irregularities, and leadership disputes. These demonstrations commonly engage various societal groups such as students, political activists, and labor unions who mobilize to express their grievances and push for reform.
In Pakistan, a significant demonstration is underway as hundreds of Jamaat-e-Islami supporters stage a sit-in protest on the outskirts of Islamabad. The protesters are voicing their frustration over skyrocketing inflation and steep energy taxes, demanding immediate government action to address these issues.
Hundreds of followers of Pakistan's prominent Islamist party, Jamaat-e-Islami, have assembled for a sit-in protest on the outskirts of Islamabad. Their dissatisfaction is directed at the escalating inflation and the heavy taxes imposed on energy bills. The demonstrators are demanding the government to eliminate these substantial electricity taxes and to tackle the soaring cost of living. The protests underscore growing public frustration over the economic strain caused by high utility costs and overall inflation.
महंगाई है, बिजली का बिल ज़्यादा आ रहा है, गरीब लोग हैं, कारोबार तबाह हो गया है, माशियत तबाह हो गया, हर चीज़ तबाह हो गया इन हुक्मरानों की वजह से, इन IPPs के लोगों की वजह से। तो इंशाल्लाह हम अपनी मुतालिबात मनवा के इधर से उठेंगे और नाम इधर से जाने वाले नहीं है। हुकूमत ये सोच न करे।
The protesters who spent the night outdoors reported that their lives have become increasingly difficult due to exorbitant power bills and the new taxation laws introduced in the 2024-25 annual budget. They highlighted how these financial pressures had significantly affected their daily lives and well-being. To control the situation, local authorities initially erected barricades on major roads in the capital city to prevent the protesters from entering the red zone which houses key government offices and institutions.
बेरोजगारी बहुत है, नौजवान तबका बहुत परेशान है और जो है महंगाई है जो सर चढ़ के बोल रही है। जो मेरी शादीशुदा हूँ माशाल्लाह 6 बच्चे हैं, अगर यही कमाई जो हम करते हैं वो सारी बिलों में देंगे और बेरोजगारी में हम अपने बच्चों को क्या खिलाएंगे। इसलिए हम यहाँ आए हैं कि हमारे मुतलबात जो रखे हुए हैं वो पूरे किए जाए और बिलों में जो बेजा टैक्स लगाया गया है वो कम किए जाए।
Jamaat-e-Islami leader Hafiz Naimur Rahman declared that the sit-in at Liaquat Bagh in Rawalpindi marks the beginning of a broader protest campaign. Rahman stated that the protests will continue until their demands are met and hinted that Jamaat may refuse to pay August's electricity bills if they exceed those from July. The party plans to escalate their protests with a sit-in at the Governor House in Karachi and similar actions in other provincial capitals. Pakistan is currently grappling with a record high inflation, which is affecting essential commodities and services. The surge in prices has eroded purchasing power, leaving many citizens struggling to meet basic needs. At the same time, increased taxes on energy bills and essential goods have exacerbated the financial strain on both households and businesses. Economic experts attribute this crisis to a mix of factors including fiscal policies, fluctuating currency values, and external economic pressures. The Pakistan government's recent tax measures intended to generate revenue and meet IMF conditions have further fueled public discontent.
The ongoing protest in Pakistan underscores the urgent need for government intervention to alleviate economic pressures on citizens. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.
Thank you.